Hey, what's up guys? I have another knife review and I'm very excited to review this knife because this is one of my favorite outdoor fixed blades I've ever used, period. Definitely up there, especially for the price. You know what you're gonna pay for this is an awesome knife. This is the Ontario RTAK 2. The box that came in, RTAK box, simple cardboard box. I did take the cordage off the sheath in the front. This is obviously a huge knife. It's a drop down sheath and there's two eyelets in the front, and the purpose for the cordage they give you, which is basically like it's literally like a shoestring. All right, it's functional, but if I were to use this style of carry, which I have, I definitely prefer the 550 over this. But anyway, you'd fish this through the two eyelets on the bottom and it keeps the knife from moving around. You wrap it around your leg or your thigh. So anyway, that's it. Just want to get the box out of the way. So what an awesome knife. Right off the bat, I'm going to talk about the sheath system so I can get out of the way and show you the knife. You can see it is a drop down. All right, so you fish your belt through here, and you have lots of attachment points on the back if you want to attach this to some kind of a backpack or bag or anything like that. Tons of options there. Very versatile. The quality's good strong nylon. All the Velcro is good on this. The only thing I don't like about this, and this is completely preference, is that there's a piggyback sheath on the front. And more times than not, these large fixed blade sheaths will have a separate smaller sheath attached to the front. All right, in this case, we have a smaller sheath which we can use for a sharpening stone or a multi-tool or a folder to go with this as a pair. It's nice to have the option. The only thing I don't like is that this is a permanent piggyback sheath. A lot of the designs out there basically have separate straps that connect the small sheath to the big sheath, so you do have the option to remove it. In this case, you do not. With this particular Ontario sheath, the smaller piggyback one on the front is permanently mounted to it. So even if you don't want anything in there, it's going to be there. Just a preference thing. I prefer to be able to remove that. But anyway, it is a great option to have another multi-tool in there. You know, it goes with a fixed blade. If you're out in the woods and stuff, it's going to be handy anyway. So as far as the retention on this, it's absolutely perfect. All right, there's a dual button snaps on here. Doesn't go anywhere, doesn't wiggle, doesn't move, doesn't go up and down. It is extremely secure. What I like about these, you can see that they have this metal clasp here, okay, and basically allows you to adjust this. There's Velcro here. All right, so if you want this strap to be longer or shorter, depending on how tight you want the knife handle in your sheath, absolutely awesome to have that adjustment. Works really good. Very high quality button snaps on these as well. Good secure lockup on it. What's nice about the adjustable straps here is that it's not just for this knife. You could, if you have a similar size knife, use this sheath, and it doesn't matter what the handle configuration is, you could adjust these to have a nice snug fit. So it's versatile. All right, even though I'm never going to change the sheath out, I will keep this knife with it. If I did have another fixed blade, I would be able to use this knife in it, you know, given that the blades could be a similar length. So very cool. I like that a lot. So the sheath is fantastic. Like I said, the only real hit is that piggyback sheath on the top. I'd like to be removable. So anyway, here we have the knife. This is a big old fixed blade, not the biggest in the world, but certainly big enough. 10.5 inches on our blade is a full flat ground 5160 carbon steel. There is a foliage green powder coat on this. At least that's what Ontario calls it, foliage green. It's so heavy in the gray that I would just consider it gray. It doesn't look foliage to me. In person, it looks pretty much the same as I see it through the viewfinder right now, what you guys are looking at. But if you didn't tell me it's foliage, I'd say it's gray. So, you know, I guess that's opinion. But anyway, yes, very grayish foliage coating on here. The only hit on the actual knife for me is that coating. Color, I can care less what the color is. It looks nice, very nice with that tan. But the texturing, all right, listen to this. It's like a rough sandpaper, and I don't like it. Initially, when you get these knives, at least for me, I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. It's cool, it's grippy, it's awesome. But you know, as far as practicality, when you start using it, you find that on any fixed blade, particularly one you're going to be chopping and processing wood with, you don't want resistance. You don't want any kind of texturing on your blade, because obviously when you're putting material through it, it's just going to grip it. Okay, so you want this nice and smooth. Some people strip the coating off completely. They'll blue their blade, or they'll polish it up, or even recoat it, that's not textured. It's not that big of a deal. It is definitely a concern. It's definitely something I want to mention for, the purpose of a review, so you guys know that, yeah, this is not a good thing, having a textured coating. But it's not the end of the world either. In chopping, there's so much force that it would be, in my opinion, there's very little difference, although there is a difference, but there's little difference in the resistance you're going to feel in chopping wood. It's not going to be that big of a deal. But if it's something you're going to be using for a very, very long time, I would probably recommend, smoothing this out with a little bit of sandpaper, or, perhaps even removing that finish somehow and bluing it, or if you're going to keep it the bare carbon, just make sure you keep that oiled all the time. But anyway, super awesome in performance. This thing blew me away. I've seen these many, many times. I never had one until now. When I got this one, I was very excited to start using it. I've seen and heard a lot about them. You guys know that I've always been more of a folder guy than a fixed blade guy. But, in the last almost year, I've been using a lot of fixed blades a lot more, because I've been getting outside and doing more, woods work. And I really appreciate fixed blades. I always have, but I've been focusing a lot more on it in recent months. And this by far really, really impressed me. It's one of the best production fixed blades that I've ever used. Extremely good performance. The thickness on this blade is 0.2 inches. All right, so it's thick enough to be robust in chopping and stuff. It's not like a machete. I mean, it's going to really bite in there. With the flat grind, super sharp edge that you get on this when it's brand new. And the 0.2 inches, it gives you enough stability and durability in chopping really hard and rough with it, but it's still lean enough that it really bites very deeply. Great performance. I mean, this really chunks out wood when you're chopping with it. And that 10.5 inches gives you enough length where you can process wood if you want to baton with this as well. All right, because when you're batoning, you want a decent amount of that tip to be sticking out the other side of the piece of wood, so that when you're using your baton, you have something to hit. All right, so essentially, if you start at the heel of the blade here, all right, I would say the very least you'd want that tip poking out is maybe there. You're still looking at about 8 or 9 inches of usable space for wood. So you can have, you can baton through a piece of wood that's about an 8 or 9 inch diameter piece. So it's fairly large. Anything that's larger than that, you're not necessarily going to want to baton through anyway. So I think it's extremely versatile, both in chopping and batoning and processing and stuff. Extremely comfortable. We have a micarta handle, scales on both sides. Obviously it's full tang, but we have micarta on both sides. I much prefer micarta any day of the week over G10. I like the look of it. I love the feel of it. This is a very simple tan. When you get it, it's kind of a medium tan in color, but it does darken with use. Obviously, when you sweat, it's going to absorb that sweat a little bit, the dirt, the grime. It gives it a little bit of character. I really, really like that a lot. I love the contouring of the handle. It's extremely flat. There's no bulbous parts in the middle. A lot of times with some of the best, most comfortable handles in the world are contoured both ways. Obviously, you have contouring for your fingers, your natural grip, but also palm swells, where it fattens up in the middle to fill out the hand. Because this is so big and robust, even though it doesn't have that, it feels extremely comfortable and ergonomic in the hand. When you first look at this thing, it almost looks comical to have this size, large handle. But when you go to grab it, you really feel very secure and comfortable with it. It doesn't feel too big. If you have really small hands, you're very young, or if you're a female, this may not be for you because it is a large handle. But if you're, if you have medium to large size hands, or you're just an adult male, pretty much any adult male will be able to easily grip this knife and use it with confidence. Very ergonomic, even without that palm swell, which is kind of surprising for me. When I first saw it, actually in person, looking at pictures is a whole different thing. When you get it in person, you're like, wow, the handle's really big. Is that going to fit? And you go to grab it, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. It flares out for the finger guard here, which is very nice. Your hand doesn't ride up. And of course, I love, especially in a large, robust fixed blade that you're really wielding and swinging around a lot, it flares out on the butt end as well. Okay, so it's harder for your hand to slide in either direction. So it's easier to hold the grip. Tang does extend out the back here. We have a nice lanyard hole. If you do choose to use a lanyard, you can certainly do so. Very simple construction. Like I said, full tang. 2 thick micarta scales, and you have 3 bolts, all right, to secure those scales to the handle. If you wanted to customize this, you could take this apart. You can thin down both scales on here if they were too thick for you, okay, for a better grip. I'm not sure offhand what the you might have to change the hardware out if you're going to do something like that, because I don't know if it's, obviously it's for this thickness. But what I was thinking about doing in the future, if I ever want to play around with customizing knives or pimping knives, you can take out a little bit on each scale, sand it down a little bit, and put some cool liners in here. Maybe a white liner or a vibrant color to kind of offset that, just for looks. That's purely nothing to do with function, but just for the looks of the knife. This knife is 17 inches overall, and that handle is 6.5 inches. This thing is a beast. That 5160 carbon is a really good performing steel. The Rockwell on this is actually pretty soft, 54 to 56, okay? It gives you a little bit of durability, some flexibility. If you were to grab the tip here, I don't know if you can really see it, but I can feel a little bit of flex in this blade, all right? Which is nice, because it's going to absorb a little bit more and maneuver a little bit more. If you have a very hard steel that's very stiff, you're a little bit more prone to, actually snapping or breaking or chipping out, as opposed to bending. All right, I never hit anything super hard with this. Sometimes when I'm doing reviews of fixed blade, I'll hit a rock or something. I really get an idea of what the edge is going to do, whether it's going to roll over or fold, as opposed to chipping. Even though I didn't do that with this knife, I'm very confident that if I did, miss a piece of wood and hit right into a rock, that this would fold over, as opposed to chipping, just because of the softness of that carbon steel. As far as price on these, extremely affordable in my opinion. Now, when I say affordable, $20 is affordable to everyone, obviously. But what you're getting for this knife, I think the value is definitely there. So maybe I should say value as opposed to affordable. There's a little confusion. I did a video on the Strider, and I said it's $200. It's an affordable Strider. That's because Striders are inherently extremely expensive. So that was a cheap Strider as opposed to a cheap knife. Completely different. But anyway, as far as price, I saw Blade HQ has this for $114.95. Blade Ops had it for even cheaper, $108.95, but they're out of stock, unfortunately. But you can get this on Amazon for $88.27, and surprisingly enough, you can get it slightly even cheaper at Walmart. In the stores, I've never seen this knife in the actual stores, but if you go to Walmart online, the walmart.com website, you can find it there for $88.22. All right, so I don't know, if you prefer Amazon, a couple cents is not gonna make a difference, but so now we're talking $90 as opposed to $100, $120, whatever the case may be with shipping. So let's just say $100 knife, right? No matter where you get it, it's gonna be in and around $100. Cannot find a better fixed blade for $100. This thing far surpasses any kind of expectations I had for it. I thought it'd be a good knife. I know it's popular. It is one of my favorite knives of all times. Again, I have to say, the best production fixed blade of its size that I've ever used. It's simple, it's very well done, it chops phenomenally, it's very easy to baton through, wood with it as well. It's just awesome. It is a really good camp companion. If you're gonna be out in the woods and playing around with processing wood, I can't think of a better fixed blade for this price. It really is one of my favorites. So highly, highly recommend the Ontario RTAK 2. Awesome knife. So that's pretty much it for this review. If you guys have this knife, please comment down below. Let everyone know your personal opinions on it, on your experience with having it. And I'll probably give you an update on this in a couple of years. I don't plan on getting rid of this anytime soon. You never know what's going to happen, but as far as right now, as of right this second, I don't plan on getting rid of it. I hope to have it forever. I like the knife that much. So anyway, hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.